Ghosts of Everest, Unexplained Encounters Above the Death Zone, a Frost of Heights documentary introduction. The mountain that never sleeps, Everest, the highest point on Earth, a mountain where humanity reaches for the sky. But there is another truth, one rarely spoken out loud. Everest is also a place where the living and the dead remain closer than anywhere else on the planet. Every year, climbers report the same impossible experiences. Figures walking ahead of them, voices calling their names, hands touching their shoulders when no one is there. And all of it happens in the same place, above 8,000 meters. In the death zone, a place where the air cannot sustain life, where the human body slowly shuts down, and where reality itself begins to blur. Today, I will tell you the stories that refuse to disappear. Stories that cannot be explained by logic alone. Stories of encounters with something that should not be there. And the question that follows every one of them is simple. If you heard a voice calling you at 28,000 feet, would you follow it? The death zone. Where the mind breaks above 8,000 meters, the human body enters a slow collapse. There is not enough oxygen for survival. The brain receives only a fraction of what it needs. Muscles weaken. Judgment fades. Time stretches and compresses. At this altitude, hallucinations are common. Dark shapes, moving shadows, voices with no source. But what unsettles climbers is not that hallucinations occur. It's that different people from different expeditions describe the same things, the same figures, the same voices, the same presence. The man in the yellow jacket. This is one of Everest's most persistent legends. Multiple climbing teams have reported seeing a man standing motionless near a high ridge, wearing a yellow down jacket. Each time, climbers assumed it was a stranded mountaineer. Each time they tried to approach, and each time the figure vanished. No tracks, no disturbed snow, no body. Years later, records revealed that a climber wearing a yellow jacket had died at that exact location during a storm. Since then, dozens of climbers claim to have seen him. Is this a shared hallucination, or is Everest remembering those who never came down? The voice in the storm. On Everest's northern route, during a violent night storm, a climber named Mark became separated from his team. Visibility was almost zero. Wind drowned out every sound. As he moved forward, he began to hear footsteps behind him. Crunching snow, heavy breathing. When he turned around, nothing. Then the voice came, clear, close, calm. Stop! Mark froze. In front of him was a hidden crevasse, a drop that would have meant instant death. The next day, Sherpas found him alive. When he told them what had happened, they did not seem surprised. Some Sherpas believe the mountain has guardians. Others say the spirits of the dead sometimes intervene, not to harm, but to guide. The invisible guide. Many climbers describe a strange sensation above 8,500 meters. Not fear, not panic, presence. A feeling that someone is walking beside them, just out of sight. Some describe it as comforting, others as unsettling. They hear whispers, "Keep going, just a little more, follow me." Scientists attribute this to oxygen deprivation, but the question remains, why do climbers report hearing the same words? Shadows above the clouds. Sherpas have their own stories. They speak of shadows that move against the wind, of silhouettes standing on ridges impossible to reach without ropes, of figures watching silently as climbers pass below. They believe Everest is alive, not in a biological sense, but as a keeper of memory. Every life lost becomes part of the mountain. Liam's descent. One of the most haunting cases involves a climber named Liam. During a descent, his partner fell to his death. Liam was left alone in the death zone, exhausted, in shock, running out of oxygen. He later said he felt a hand on his shoulder, not wind, not snow, a hand. He followed that presence for hours, down a route he could no longer see. When rescuers reached him, they asked how he had found the path. Liam answered simply, "I didn't see it, I was led." Ghosts, memory, or survival instinct? Scientists say these experiences are neurological responses to extreme stress. Sherpas say the spirits of the mountain intervene. Climbers say the truth lies somewhere in between. At high altitude, where death is close, the boundary between reality and perception dissolves. Everest is a place where the impossible becomes familiar. The mountain remembers. Everest is not just rock and ice, it is a graveyard, a shrine, a witness. Hundreds of bodies remain on its slopes, preserved by cold, untouched by time. Some climbers say the mountain never truly lets go of those who died there. Their stories remain, their presence lingers. Conclusion: where life and death meet, are the ghosts of Everest real? Are they memories, hallucinations, or something beyond explanation? Each climber who steps into the death zone must decide for themselves. But one truth is undeniable. Where oxygen ends, stories begin. And Everest has more stories than any mountain on Earth. Final call to action: Frost of Heights, US style. If this story stayed with you, if it made you question what is real on the edge of survival, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tell me in the comments, do you believe Everest is haunted, or are these visions created by a dying mind? My name is Erkesuluu. This is Frost of Heights, where the mountains speak and we listen.